At 0340 hours local time, somewhere over central Iran, a B-2 Spirit bomber was already deep inside hostile airspace. No escort lights, no radio chatter, no second chances. For 11 straight hours, the aircraft had crossed oceans under total emission control, flying toward a target buried beneath reinforced mountains near Isfahan, a hardened missile complex packed with ballistic missiles, underground fuel chambers, and enough rocket artillery to ignite half the Persian Gulf if Tehran gave the order. Inside the cockpit, the crew barely moved, then the threat display lit up. One radar, then another, then three more. Mission commander stared at the DMS screen for half a second too long, because the systems appearing in front of him were supposed to be dead. Coalition ISR confirmed their destruction weeks earlier. Satellite imagery showed smoking craters where those batteries once stood. But the craters had lied. Iran had rebuilt the network, and now the entire southern air corridor was waking up around them. The first emitter came from a Ghadir VHF early warning radar sweeping across central Iran. The kind of radar stealth aircraft hate most. Long wavelengths, massive search volume. Too imprecise for missile guidance, but perfect for detecting ghosts in the sky. The B-2 wasn't invisible. Nothing was. Stealth only reduced the return until the aircraft looked like noise. Iran was looking for noise. The mission commander immediately pulled the radar geometry overlay across the navigation display. Two VHF search sectors overlapped ahead, creating a narrow dead corridor barely 15 miles wide between the beams. Miss it, and the bomber becomes a track. Hit it perfectly in the sky, and the return stays below confidence threshold. The pilot adjusted 3 degrees right without saying a word. No radio calls. No transmission to the F-35 seed packages operating hundreds of miles west. No warning to Coalition Command, because the second that bomber transmitted, every Alint station from Bandar Abbas to Tehran would know exactly where to look. The cockpit fell silent except for the low vibration. Old General Electric F-118 engines pushing $2 billion of flying stealth technology through thin air at 42,000 feet. The radar swept again. Signal spike fade. The null corridor held, barely. But VHF radar didn't need a perfect lock to become deadly. It only needed to point the network in the right direction. And behind the scenes, the network was already waking up. Fiber optic lines buried beneath Iranian desert roads carried the contact report south toward Isfahan Air Defense Command. Operators inside hardened bunkers suddenly watched low-confidence ghost returns appear over central Iran. A possible stealth aircraft, high altitude. Heading north, the room changed instantly. Search sectors narrowed. Missile crews powered dormant systems. Backup generators roared alive. Air defense officers who spent the last month hiding from coalition harm strikes suddenly realized something massive was moving toward Isfahan. And then the second radar appeared, square pair engagement radar. S-200 VE battery, bearing 020, range 80 kilometers. The mission commander's stomach tightened immediately. That battery should not exist. Satellite reconnaissance showed its original site obliterated weeks earlier, but the surviving Iranian crew had salvaged the launchers, rebuilt the radar array inside a concealed revetment south of Isfahan, and waited silently for exactly this moment. The Americans thought they were dead. The Iranians had simply gone underground. Inside the Iranian SAM site, the battery commander watched the ghost contact sharpen slightly across the display. 4 missiles left. The moment he illuminated the target fully, every coalition anti-radiation missile in the region could ride his radar beam straight back into the battery. But if the target was real, this was the shot of a lifetime. The B-2 pilot adjusted course again. 15 degrees north, nose on toward the square pair radar to minimize the stealth aspect angle. And immediately another problem appeared, because turning nose on toward the S-200 exposed the aircraft broadside to another system farther east. Of R-373, Iran's most advanced indigenous long-range SAM platform. The Mirage 4 AESA radar activated seconds later. Now the bomber faced overlapping fire control radars from 2 different systems simultaneously. Every heading that reduced exposure to one radar increased exposure to the other. The geometry trap had closed. The DMS threat board exploded with new symbols, signal spikes, track updates, intermittent sweeps. The mission commander activated the B-2's ECM suite. Iran suddenly lit up electronically. Inside the bomber's wings, the electronic warfare systems grabbed incoming radar pulses and rebroadcast manipulated returns back toward Iranian receivers. Ghost targets appeared across radar scopes. False bearings, false altitudes, false aircraft. Against older radars, the deception worked beautifully. But the Mirage 4 wasn't old. The AESA system cross-checked beam angles automatically, filtering inconsistent returns and narrowing the possible target zone. The radar picture blurred but didn't disappear. The ECM emissions themselves became detectable. The aircraft, designed to survive by whispering, had suddenly become the loudest thing in Iranian airspace. Signals intelligence stations immediately triangulated the jamming source. The Ghadir radar supplied general direction. The S-200 supplied range refinement. The Elan station supplied active ECM bearing. Together, they built a three-dimensional firing solution. For the first time all night, Iran knew exactly where the bomber was, and the target was still 40 minutes away. Below the aircraft, deep beneath Mount Safa, hundreds of Iranian missiles sat inside reinforced underground storage chambers. Ballistic missiles, rocket artillery, fuel bunkers, reload stocks for regional launch sites. Enough firepower to sustain Iranian strikes across the Gulf for months. 16 GBU-31 bunker busters waited inside the B-2's rotary launcher, but they were useless until the bomber survived long enough to release them. The next 20 minutes became a war of seconds. In the sky, Iranian radar operators narrowed search sectors manually. Avar crews debated firing authorization. Sky S-200 operators tracked fading return. Electronic warfare officers tried filtering ghost signals from real contacts. Everywhere across central Iran, men were hunting something they could barely see. And inside the B-2 cockpit, the crew was fighting mathematics. Every evasive heading correction changed bomb release geometry. Every deviation corrupted targeting calculations. The mission commander rebuilt 16 independent GPS strike profiles in real time while the entire Iranian air defense network closed around them. Then the final alert appeared. Solid intermittent lock, Mirage 4 radar, bearing 045, range shrinking fast. The Bavar 373 commander stared at the screen. For weeks, coalition strikes destroyed radar sites across Iran. Every commander who activated fire control radar risked immediate destruction from anti-radiation missiles. But tonight was different. Something important enough to fly alone toward Isfahan had entered his sector. He committed. Weapons authorization approved. Inside the B-2, the mission commander spoke 4 words. Bombay doors opening now. The aircraft became vulnerable instantly. For 10 seconds, the stealth geometry collapsed as the weapons bays opened beneath the bomber's belly. Radar cross-sections surged from bird-sized noise into something resembling a small aircraft. Every radar in central Iran suddenly saw the bomber clearly. The Mirage 4 locked immediately. Solid track, altitude confirmed, bearing confirmed, weapons free. Inside the Iranian battery, the Sayad-4 interceptor ignited. At the exact same moment, 16 GBU-31 JDAM penetrators dropped into the darkness below. The rotary launcher spun rapidly. Bomb after bomb disappeared into the night. GPS guidance activated, tail fins adjusted. 16 independent kill vehicles descended toward the underground depot. Each bomb carried a BLU-109 penetrator warhead, forged steel casing, delayed action fuse, built specifically to punch through reinforced concrete before detonating deep underground. Not explosions, railroad spikes falling from the sky. Inside the Iranian battery, the Sayad-4 missile cleared the rail 4 seconds too late. 4 seconds. That was the difference between killing the bomber and firing an empty sky. Weeks of coalition seed strikes conditioned Iranian crews to hesitate before activating radar. Every operator feared the invisible harm missile riding radar emissions back into the battery. The Americans never needed to destroy every radar. They only needed Iranian crews to fear turning them on. And now that fear delayed the shot long enough for the B-2 to disappear again. The Sayad-4 accelerated past Mach 4 toward the bomber's last known position. But the target no longer existed there. The missile chased a ghost. Meanwhile, the bombs reached the mountain. The first penetrators smashed through reinforced roofing structures above the underground complex. Concrete shattered inward. Shockwaves punched deep into the storage chambers. Then the delayed fuses triggered. The mountain exploded from the inside. The first detonations ignited stored missile fuel. Pressure surged through enclosed tunnels. Secondary chambers ruptured. Artillery stocks cooked off next. Then ballistic missile fuel reserves ignited simultaneously. The underground complex transformed into a chain reaction furnace. Fireballs erupted through fractured rock above the facility. concrete slabs launched into the air like paper. Missiles detonated underground one after another, feeding an expanding internal overpressure wave racing through the depot faster than any human inside could escape. The entire mountain began venting fire. Orange-white explosions tore upward through ventilation shafts and access tunnels. Shockwaves rolled across central Iran, windows shattered miles away. Inside nearby Iranian command bunkers, operators watched telemetry vanish one chamber at a time. Storage sectors disappeared. Communications failed. Internal sensors overloaded. Then the entire underground grid went dark. Hundreds of millions of dollars in Iranian missile stocks vanished in under 60 seconds. Months of production, years of stockpiling, gone. And above the inferno, the B-2 was already disappearing southward into darkness. Behind it, the Iranian air defense network continued chasing ghosts across empty sky while Mount Safa burned like a volcano beneath them. The surviving operators inside the Bavar 373 battery stared silently at blank radar scopes. They had the right target, the right geometry, the right missile, the perfect firing window. What they didn't have was 4 more seconds. And 4 seconds was enough to save a $2 billion bomber, while an entire Iranian missile complex disappeared beneath the mountain.